I always believe that in hindsight, all of us on any particular issue are the smartest boy or girl or the smartest man or woman in a room. The people who failed to see a second wave, the people who were going out, discarding masks, questioning the vaccine process, questioning the authenticity, the medical validation of the vaccine itself, are today questioning the government as to why the government couldn't see the second wave, the government couldn't predict the mutant. I mean, these are questions anyone will ask. There is chaos all around. Until last week, the SOS calls had flooded our social media. But today we want to answer the big question everyone has been asking. What if government, which just made the announcement about being in a position to offer 2 billion doses by the end of this year to the entire eligible population of India, what if the government had placed these orders, say in September 2020, August 2020, November 2020, December 2020 perhaps? What if the orders were placed much earlier than they have been placed before? And let's look at the example of some other countries which have done that. The question was to order or not to order, and if to order, when to order those vaccines, and if to wait, until when to wait before you start ordering those vaccines. This is the tongue twister we will try to answer. There's this wonderful article which has been written by Swarajya on Swarajya. We'll be putting the link in the description. And to understand this video better, that is the article you should be referring to. We'll be putting the link in the description. And what we'll start with is we'll start with understanding the procurement orders from different countries. I would like to start with the United States first, and we'll be putting up some charts across the length of this video for your better understanding. If I go with the United States, it was called Operation Warp Speed. They placed an order worth $10 billion across 6 vaccine manufacturers, worth $10 billion. Now, in terms of order, 500 million of them have not been fulfilled. 500 million vaccine orders have not been fulfilled. From the last 10 months, you go from Novavax, GSK, Sanofi, and AstraZeneca, they have not completed a single order for the United States worth $4.8 billion. These are 500 million doses. Johnson & Johnson, another 100 million doses, that has been completely written off by the Biden administration. And the 500 million doses order I'm talking about were placed 10 months ago. This is what is happening in the United States. Now, if I come down to the European Union, the European Union placed a combined total of 4.2 billion orders. 4.2 billion doses. The population is much less. It's not 4.2 billion, but nevertheless, they went on an ordering spree because most of the manufacturers are located in different parts of the European Union. So, of the 4.2 billion orders placed until date, one would assume that, going back, they must have placed some orders, last year. Let's see how the orders have been fulfilled. AstraZeneca in August 2020 was ordered for 400 million doses. Till date, they have delivered 13 million. Johnson & Johnson, October 2020, an order for 200 million doses was made. 55 million delivered. GSK, Sanofi, 300 million doses of orders in September 2020. None of it delivered. August 2020, you had 80 million orders from another vaccine manufacturer and just 20 million delivered. So across the European Union, just 180 million orders of doses have been made available. When I say orders, I mean a single dose here. Of the 4.2 billion orders, just 180 million so far. Let's come to the United Kingdom now. How can we forget the United Kingdom? The country is opening again for bars and pubs, for outdoor dining. And again, they're also talking about the Indian variant of the Wuhan virus. So let's look at what UK was doing last year. In May 2020, they placed an order for 100 million doses with AstraZeneca. Until today, they've got 40 million. The next part is interesting because June 2020, they placed an order of 60 million doses with GSK Sanofi. They get 0 so far. June 2020, with Novavax, another 60 million doses worth of order placed. They have got 0 so far. August 2020, J&J, 30 million doses were ordered. Till date, only 2 million. And lastly, in Jan 2021, Moderna was requested to to deliver an order of 17 million doses. Just 2 million have been delivered so far. I would honestly request all our viewers to take a moment, pause this video and just look at the numbers we are putting up on the screen for you in the form of these charts. These are very, very important numbers because all of us have gone on this assumption that the biggest mistake the government made was not making huge orders. before the second wave struck, or before in the later stage of 2020, perhaps Q4 of 2020. Now let's come to Australia. They have managed to vaccinate less than 3 million people. In September 2020, AstraZeneca was asked for 53.8 million doses. They've just delivered 2.6 in Australia, so the vaccination process is pretty slow. In Canada and Russia, less than 30 million people have been vaccinated so far. Now, let's come to the next aspect. Now, we've seen the numbers here. We've seen that US, UK, European Union, countries like Australia, Russia, all of them placed bulk orders. All of them are still struggling. Now, let's come to another important aspect, and I would request you to look at the chart on your screen. Let's look at the vaccine order volume across the globe. The vaccine order volume across the globe. Combined, European Union and UK made up for 55.3% of the orders, followed by the United States with 18.8%. China placed an order for 7.1% and India for 4.2%, with the rest of the world making up for the rest 14-15%. So US had 18.8%, UK and European Union combined had 55.3%. China and India, which make up for almost half of the world's population, if not completely. Not half, I would say, probably I would correct myself, probably 40% of the world population, they had only ordered 10% of the vaccines in terms of volume. Now, let's talk about the vaccine production now, because we automatically assume that the big countries placing big orders in this 2020 would have had some manufacturing, some exports in place. So let's talk about the vaccine production in terms of domestic and exports. So European Union and UK made up for 20.7%, China made up for 29.6%, US made up for 22.2%, India made up for 23.7%. Look at the contrast here, the orders placed and the vaccine production, combining the domestic use and the exports. Look at where India and China stand at 23.7% and 29.6% respectively. Now, if I look at the volume vaccine output as a percentage for the order volume for a region, vaccine output as a percentage of volume for the region, the numbers here become more interesting, because for US it's 20%, for China it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 65%, for European Union and the United Kingdom it's less than 15%. Remember, they had 55.3% of the order volume, but in terms of the vaccine output as a percentage of the order place, it's less than 15%. For even the United States, it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 20%, China in the neighborhood of 65%, perhaps a little more. Guess where India is? It's greater than 80%. So what do we conclude from here? Probably the manufacturers have been let down. The manufacturers rather let down the countries. Who knows? But one thing is pretty clear, that large orders don't necessarily amount to better preparedness for the second wave. We can all agree to disagree, but this is what the data suggests. Because US had placed so many orders, European Union and the United Kingdom had placed so orders, and look at the vaccine output as a ratio of the total order volume. India is highest at greater than 80%. Now, there is also the question of, did India miss a trick by not placing more orders? Did India miss a trick about when it comes to Serum Institute or Bharat Biotech? Now, the interesting part is, Bharat Biotech has been also revising its manufacturing capacity with the demand. In early 2021, it was merely 5 million. It got to 20 million in April 2021. And now, in the month of May, probably we'll see 30 million doses coming out. So one question is, could we have been better prepared to fight the second wave had we placed more orders? Perhaps not. Because in the article I have linked below, there's another link which talks about the complications of setting up the plant, of ramping up production. It's normally not that simple. Even within the United States, tranches or parts of the orders worth, let's say, 100 million doses are coming between 6 to 9 months. So you can go at a spree of placing orders, but that doesn't do anything to ramp up production. Bharat Biotech and has been ramping up production as per the demands, which is fine. But look at the countries which placed 4.2 billion orders, rather the entire subcontinent. That's not really helped them as well. So when we talk about this question of, could India escape the second wave had we vaccinated more people? Or could India have been better prepared for the second wave if India had got more vaccines in stock? This is the data set we really need to, and we all are free to make our own interpretations. But what the data suggests, large orders mean absolutely nothing. Thank you.